The UN urges the U.S. to stop forced returns to Haiti after the latest deportation flight. All right. It says the UN Refugee Agency has called on the United States to stop forcibly returning Haitians to their home country, which is facing a months-long surge in gang violence and continued political instability. All right. And notice it said continued political instability. This ain't something that just came up overnight. All right. In a social media post on Friday, the UN Refugee Agency urged U.S. President Joe Biden's administration to refrain from forcibly returning Haitians who may face life-threatening risk or further displacement in the Caribbean nation, right? Because you're supposed to be able to come to the United States if you're seeking asylum, meaning you're running from dangerous threats in your country. That's like one of the whole, immigration policies concerning the U.S., but that does not apply to black and brown people. The U.S. hates black and brown people and wants to send them back where they came from. All right, you don't see the U.S. forcibly deporting Swedes or Brits or Germans. You don't see that. All right, you only see the U.S. forcibly deporting people if they come from Latin American countries, or in this case Haiti. Right? What our former president would call shithole countries. Right? That's the only time you see forcible deportations. All right. It said in a social media post on Friday. Oh yeah, I just read that. Right. All right. They'll face life-threatening risk if they get sent back. The call after the UN agency said another U.S. deportation flight landed in Haiti on Thursday. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to Al Jazeera's request for comment on Friday on the flight, including how many people were on board, right? So the Department of Homeland Security was just not, they were trying to keep it under wraps, right? It marks the second such deportation flight from the U.S. to Haiti in the past month, right? So this isn't even like a one-time thing. It's every month. This ain't even like every few months. It's twice a month, all right? On April 18th, the U.S. government sent about 50 Haitian nationals back to the country in a move that drew immediate condemnation from rights groups, right? Because forcibly taking someone from one place to another, that's called human trafficking. That is very frowned upon these days. I don't know if you heard. But individuals are removed only if they were found to not have a legal basis to remain in the United States, right? So they said, look, any United States citizens we weren't, or anybody with visas we weren't forcibly taken back. Yet again, seeking of asylum is supposed to be a legal way to immigrate to this country. They don't care. All right. They don't care. Individuals are removed only if they were found to not have a legal. Yeah, I just read that. I'm reading the same thing. It said another U.S. This is from Twitter, I guess. Another U.S. deportation flight landed in Haiti yesterday. Given the dire security and humanitarian situation, the UN Refugee Agency urges the U.S. government to refrain from forcibly returning Haitians who may face life-threatening risk or further displacement. Right, so they said, look, if you care about these people, you wouldn't be deporting them. Said Haiti has experienced widespread gang violence in recent years, particularly after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in July of 2021 created a power vacuum, right? Because that president, he was trying to keep everything in order, but then somebody killed the president, and then that's when chaos broke out, right? It says, but the already dire situation escalated further in late February, when powerful armed groups attacked prisons, police stations, and other state institutions across Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince. All right. The unrest forced Haiti's unelected Prime Minister Ariel Henry to announce plans to step down and spurred a shaky political transition, which continues to unfold. The UN said earlier this week that 362,000 people were internally displaced across Haiti, half of them children. You see that right there? So a very dire humanitarian crisis going on in Haiti right now, where hundreds of thousands of children are being forced into different places, right? They can't stay in any one place because, again, the gang violence, the political instability. All right. The Internal Organization for Migration also reported about 95,000 people fled the capital of Port-au-Prince, which has been hardest hit by the recent violence in 1 month between March 8th and April 9th. All right. This week's U.S. deportation flight spurred criticism from lawmakers and rights advocates in the country who say the Biden administration is putting people's lives at risk. And again, one of the platforms that Biden ran on, and I did this whenever I did an immigration lesson not too long ago, right, a few months ago. One of his platforms that he ran on was like, oh, Trump's evil and the way he's treating immigrants is evil. And then what happened as soon as Biden got elected? He sent Kamala to all these countries saying, hey, don't come to America. Don't come to America. We don't want you. We don't want you in the country. Stay in your land, right? And then he does stuff like this as well, where he'll just forcibly deport immigrants. Now, I know Biden's not doing it personally, but it's his administration. It's their job to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. If he was going to be so critical of Trump and how he handled immigration, he shouldn't be able to, or he shouldn't be doing stuff like this, right? That's called hypocrisy, all right? Something that God hates. All right, Blaine Bookey, a legal director of the Center for Gender and Refugee Studies at the University of California College of Law in San Francisco, said the deportations were a disgrace. They protect no one. They deter no one. They violate our laws and treaty obligations, legal guidance from the UN Refugee Agency, and basic principles of humanity. They must end, Bookey said in a statement on Friday, right? So he said, look, this is just inhumane, is another word to describe what's happening. Sunil Varghese, policy director at the International Refugee Assistance Project, also said the deportation flights put Haitians back into grave danger. It is unconscionable to forcibly return people back to Haiti at this time. They said, look, Haiti is so messed up that when people leave, you can't send them back because you're putting their life at risk. All right? He said it's messed up. It's messed up in Haiti. Dick Durbin, a Democratic Party senator from Illinois, said in a social media post that he told the Biden administration that it cannot risk the safety of Haitians in the U.S. by deporting them to dangerous conditions. All right. So it seems like, well, this is the end of the article anyway, right? Yes. So this is the end of the article anyway. So I'll just go ahead and finish it out. He urged Washington to halt the deportation flights as well as redesignate Haiti for what is known as temporary protected status, right? And even when they put status like this on countries, that doesn't mean they're going to keep the immigrants here, right? Because they said that about Venezuela. When their government collapsed, they said, okay, Venezuelans, you can move to America. And then what happened when Venezuelans started moving to America? They said, do not come, right? It's the same situation. That status doesn't really mean much, all right? I guess it's better than nothing, but that doesn't mean they're going to follow the laws of that. Just like they're not following the code of the United Nations Refugee Organization, right? The U.S. grants TPS to nationals of countries where temporary conditions make it too dangerous to return, including cases of armed conflict or environmental disasters like earthquakes and hurricanes. Recipients can remain in the U.S. without fear of deportation and work in the country. Haiti's TPS designation is set to expire in early August. All right. So I seen this, and it got me thinking. Why is Haiti like this in the first place, right? Why is it overrun with gangs? What happened to Haiti to make it become this this place that is just overrun with violence, right? That is life-threatening to its inhabitants, right? So that's what we're going to be going into this week. The history of Haiti, all right? So we'll start here up at the top, all right? So it says, the recorded history of Haiti began in 1492 when the European captain and explorer Christopher Columbus landed on a large island in the region of the western Atlantic Ocean that later came to be known as the Caribbean. The western portion of the island of Hispaniola, right? That's what the Spaniards, that's what the colonial period called that island of Santo Domingo today, all right? They call it Hispaniola, the island that houses both the Dominican Republic and Haiti, all right? Where Haiti is situated, was inhabited by the Taino and Arawakan people who called their land Haiti. The island was promptly claimed for the Spanish crown, where it was named La Isla Española, the Spanish land. All right, that's what the island of Hispaniola means, the Spanish land. All right. By the early 17th century, that would be the 1600s, the French had built a settlement on the west of Hispaniola and called it Saint Domingue. Prior to the 7 Years' War, the economy of Saint Domingue gradually expanded, with sugar and later coffee becoming important export crops. After the war, which had disrupted maritime commerce, the colony underwent rapid expansion. In 1767, it exported indigo, cotton, and 72 million pounds of raw sugar. All right, so that's what they were moving out of the country. All right, by the end of the century, meaning by the end of the 1800s, the colony encompassed a third of the entire Atlantic slave trade. So they were sending a third of the slaves that were even brought to the West directly to Haiti. All right. That's millions of people. All right. In 1791, slaves staged a revolt, which led to the Haitian Revolution. Andre Rigaud, leader of the revolution, and I'm gonna read a bunch of French names. Forgive me if I mispronounce them. I'm not a French speaker, so I'm probably gonna butcher some of these accents on these names. All right. Slaves staged a revolt in 1791, which led to the Haitian Revolution. And Andre Rigaud, leader of the revolution, forced the French to withdraw. When Toussaint Louverture declared independence in 1802, Napoleon sent an invasion force to coerce the Haitians. Right, so Napoleon tried to conquer Haiti. He said we're going to take it back for the French. All right. After the death of Toussaint, while in imprisonment by the French, the generals Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henry Christophe, and Alexander Pétion laid heavy battle against Charles Leclerc, the leader of the French invasion. Right, so you had these men, Dessalines, Christophe, and Pétion, were the leaders of the Haitians fighting against the French. All right. As the tide of the war turned in favor of the Haitians, Napoleon abandoned the invasion, which led to Dessalines declaring the independence of Haiti in 1804. All right, so in 1804, that's when Haiti became independent from the French. All right. So Dessalines orchestrated a massacre of the remaining French population in Haiti, resulting in over 5,000 deaths. All right, so they said, let's kill all the whites. That's what the Haitians did. They said, look, the whites have tried to enslave us. Let's kill them all. All right. 5,000 deaths. Men, women, and children were killed as revenge for Napoleon's invasion. Right. They weren't taking no prisoners. Right. They were not gentle about it. They were not merciful. All right. Whites were hanged from gallows along the coast, signaling to passing ships that Haiti had purged itself of Europeans. You see that right there. So they were the first of the countries over here in the West to overcome European colonization, right? Obviously, the United States was the first to declare independence, but obviously that was the whites taking land from the Gadites and enslaving the so-called blacks, right? So it's not exactly the same thing. All right. Soon after independence, Haiti was proclaimed an empire under Dessalines, right? So Dessalines wanted to be emperor. He wasn't about all this democracy stuff. He wanted to be emperor. When Dessalines was overthrown in a coup d'etat, Haiti then divided off into two regions. All right, and the two regions, we got a picture down here of the two regions. Where are the two regions? Come on now, I've seen the two regions. Where we at? Here's the two regions right here. Don't know how well you can see this. Let me open up in a new tab. Open image in a new tab. These are the two regions. All right. Come on now. I hate when they do this. Where are we? Here we go. I don't even know how well y'all can see this. Let's go more. There we go. So you see, you got the Kingdom of Haiti and the Republic of Haiti, right? The Kingdom of Haiti was led by Dessalines, who wanted to, rule as an emperor. The Republic of Haiti, we'll get to here in a minute, who was ruling over it. All right, let's go back up. I ain't trying to get into all this. As you can see, it's a lot. And, we like to stick to the hour, just about. It was proclaimed an empire under Dessalines. When Dessalines was overthrown in a coup d'etat, Haiti then divided off into two regions controlled by rival regimes, with Christophe ruling the semi-feudal northern state of Haiti and Pétion ruling the more tolerant southern republic of Haiti. All right. So this was starting from 1806. You had, the northern ruled by Christophe, and you had the southern ruled by Pétion. All right. Let's keep going. Jean-Pierre Boyer succeeded Pétion in 1811. He consolidated power in the west and invaded Santo Domingo. You see that right there? Thereby unifying Hispaniola. So under, who is it? Boyer, however you pronounce that. He ended up uniting Haiti, right? And he ended up taking over what we know as today as the Dominican Republic, right? Trying to expel all the Spaniards out of there as well. All the Europeans out of there as well. All right. However, the nation struggled economically due to indemnity payments beginning in 1825. All right. So indemnity payments. This sounds like colonial taxes. What is this right here? Independence debt. Yep. Yeah, that's the same as colonial taxes. Paying the when you, like, for example, Haiti fighting against the French and the Spaniards, right? So they would, like, at the end of the war, when they wanted peace, right, they would go and talk and sit down and to establish peace between the rulers of each country, right? And the French would say, okay, since we're not going to be able to make all the money off you by stealing your resources and enslaving your people, you now have to pay us what we would have made off of you. And that's where colonial taxes come from. That's what happened to all of Latin America and parts of Africa as well. That absolutely, and maybe even parts of Southeast Asia, that destroyed the regions economically. Right? They can never come out of debt. Essentially, it's the same way that they force individuals here in America to live in debt. If you want a house, like, you can never afford one, so you have to go loan them or get a loan for the money to buy a house, right? If you want a car, often you cannot afford one. You have to go into debt to get that car, right? And so they just keep you oppressed economically. They did that on national scales with countries, like here with Haiti and the United Hispaniola, all right? In 1825. In 1843, Haiti descended into chaos after a revolt which overthrew Boyer. The nation was then run by short-lived emperors and generals. So you see what happens whenever the country is destroyed economically? The people rise up and start getting violent. All right? That's what happens. When people can't afford to eat, people get, they get rowdy. I'll just put it like that. When you cannot afford food, and I'll go ahead and get this scripture real quick in Proverbs. In Proverbs 30, I believe it's Proverbs 30. Now, this is talking about on an individual level, but again, you got to think about this on a national level as well. All right? Proverbs 30. So this is this is Solomon's prayer unto the Lord. All right? This is what he said. He said, remove far from me vanity and lies. So this is Proverbs 30:8. Remove from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me. So that's what Solomon prayed to the Lord. He said, don't give me too much and don't give me too little. Give me just what I need to survive. All right. Lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Right. So if you get rich, you'll be lifted up with pride. And then you'll begin to think, well, I made myself rich. God did not bless me to make me rich. I did it on my own. I was dedicated to the grind. You know how some of these rich influencers be. All right, and these billionaires talking about, well, you just got to work hard, and that's how you get all this money. No. All right. So lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor, and this is what I wanted to get to, lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain. You see that right there? So when you are poor, or poverty in general causes criminal behavior. All right. This is understood by everyone who studies criminology on a national scale. You may be an individual that says, well, no, I ain't never going to turn to that. But, you're in a situation where you ain't got no literal food. What are you going to do to get that food? Especially if you got a family to feed. It'd be different if it's just you. We talking about on a national scale. People got families they got to feed, right? So what are they going to do? The government's not giving me any opportunities where I can go make the money. Well, guess what I got to do? I got to go take it now. I got to go take the power from the people that's in power, because maybe I could do a better job. They're screwing everything up. Maybe I could do a better job. That's what the people in Haiti were thinking in the 1800s, right? When they overthrew that government that was established by who's that, Boyer? Yeah, Boyer. If that's how you pronounce it. Again, like I said, I'm gonna butcher these French names. A more workable constitution was introduced under Michel Domingue in 1874, leading to a long period of democratic peace and development for Haiti. You see that right there. So once Michel Domingue came in, things were a little bit more stable. All right. And now check this out. It says Haiti was occupied by, come on now. Haiti was occupied by the United States from 1915 to 1934. Why does it always want to jump off the U.S.? Oh, man. From 1915 to 1834. After the occupation, President Stenlow Vincent forced through a new constitution that allowed for sweeping powers for the executive branch. The first civilian president, Dumar Sy Estime, ruled for 5 years until 1950. After a brief period of instability, Francois Duvalier rose to prominence and painted himself as a legitimate heir to Estime. Before we get to all the modern stuff, I want to, because I didn't really explain, Haiti was occupied by the U.S. from 1915 to 1934. This is around a time period where Teddy Roosevelt came through and he was like, hey, speak softly but carry a big stick. What do you mean? He meant, look, we're not going to necessarily talk about how we're going to take over the world, but that's exactly what we're trying to do, especially in the West. They started that by, again, in the early 1900s, and you can even say late 1800s, of taking over everything in the West, right? I believe it started in Cuba and Puerto Rico, fighting off the Spaniards out of the region, and then the U.S. tried to, place themselves in those positions of power. And then it continued with the Mexican-American War, right? When the U.S. took half of Mexico. That's what you know as not only Texas, but New Mexico, Arizona, California, Utah, Nevada, all those states used to be Mexico. They used to be Mexican states. All right. And from there, obviously, they built the Panama Canal that was built by the U.S. to make shipping on through the Atlantic to the Pacific a lot easier, and vice versa. So all throughout the early 1900s, they started taking over everything in the West. And as it says right here, they even occupied Haiti from 1915 to 1934. All right. So not only do we have the economic instability that was left by the French and the Spaniards, now you have the United States occupying the region up until 1934, right? Then you have Estime and Duvalier after Estime. His regime was regarded as one of the most repressive and corrupt of modern times, all right? And then his son, Jean-Claude Duvalier, saw Haiti's economic and political condition continue to decline. So imagine that. After the U.S. occupied the region, now everything's downhill. All right. And I will say that this is Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is not a source in of itself, but I use Wikipedia because it is a culmination of sources, right? It is a collection of sources, I should say. So if you want to go into this history on your own, use other sources besides Wikipedia. I'm just going to Wikipedia because it's all right here, right? I don't have to go to all these different articles, but or all these different websites for it or anything like that. But I will go to something after this Wikipedia article as well. And again, I'm not even going through all of it because we could get into like the details. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to do a quick overview. All right. So it said, continued to decline, although some of the more fearsome elements of his father's regime were abolished, right? So they weren't so gruesome at that point, right? There were certain punishments that they abolished, as it said right here, during the time of Jean-Claude Duvalier. All right. The period after Duvalier was dominated by the presidency of Jean-Bertrand Aristide until his downfall in the controversial 2004 coup d'etat. Right. So just like in 1804, 200 years later, they had another coup d'etat. All right. Well, I guess in is 198 years later because the original coup d'etat of Dessalines was in 1806. All right. So in 2004, there was another one. A major 7.0 earthquake hit the country in 2010 and caused widespread devastation. So after the coup d'etat in 2004, that's when the earthquake hit. Now I think a lot of people are probably familiar with the earthquake of 2010. Unless you were too young to remember that. All right. But that's what everybody was talking about at that time was the earthquake of 2010. Right. It was the biggest thing going on at that time with as far as Haiti is concerned. It was the first I had ever heard of Haiti in my life. I was 12 years old? I hadn't heard much about Haiti at that point. All right. But then I heard about the earthquake. So here's what I want to get into concerning the earthquake. All right. And we won't come back to the history of Haiti. I don't believe. This NPR article. All right. And this is just an example of what happened because there are other examples of how organizations which were considered reputable at the time, like the Red Cross, would take the donations because everybody in America was saying, donate to Haiti, help them out, just send a little bit of money. Then they would take that money and just use it for themselves. That's what the U.S. organizations would do. All right. And there's even been reports of, and again, this is a different example, but of people going down there and kidnapping the kids, bringing them up to the U.S. and, whether it be like adopting them out to the highest bidder or whatever the case may be. But anyway, this report said Red Cross spent 25% of Haiti donations on internal expenses. This is just one case. All right, they spent a quarter of the money that people donated to their own pockets. All right, and that's the thing with these large brand charitable organizations that everybody knows. Oftentimes they are very corrupt. The CEOs that run them make millions of dollars. Right? If you're a nonprofit, why are you profiting? All right, that's not how a nonprofit is supposed to work. All right, it says the American Red Cross spent a quarter of the money people donated after the 2010 Haiti earthquake, or almost $125 million on its own internal expenses, far more than the charity previously had disclosed, right? So if there was nothing wrong with them doing this, why'd they have to lie about it? They knew that if they would have told people up front, hey, give us $1 and we'll use a quarter to put in our own pockets, people would be like, no, we ain't giving you our money. We'll find somebody else. All right. Find somebody else that's trying to help Haiti, right? Far more than it previously had disclosed, according to a report released Thursday by Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley. So this was actually in 2016. People come out with this. So this was 6 years after all this had gone down. All right. The report also says the charity's top officials stonewalled congressional investigators and released incomplete information about its Haiti program to the public. It concludes there are substantial and fundamental concerns about the Red Cross as an organization. All right. And so even the senators were like, look, we know corruption and y'all pretty corrupt. All right. The report follows a nearly year-long investigation by the Iowa Republican and his staff, launched after coverage by NPR and ProPublica of the Red Cross Haiti response. The venerated charity raised nearly $500 million after the disaster, more than any other nonprofit. But an ambitious plan to build housing resulted in just 6 permanent homes, NPR and ProPublica found. You see that right there? So they took $500 million from people. Built 6 houses in Haiti. Now, call me crazy, but I mean, if you take $500 million, I think personally you should build at least 500 homes, and that's by American money standards. At least 500 homes, right? I mean, that makes sense. They built 1% of that. They built 6 houses. All right. So other findings in Senator Grassley's report. The charity insisted to congressional investigators that $70 million were spent on program expenses, included funds to oversee and evaluate its Haiti programs, but Grassley's office found that the charity is unable to provide any financial evidence that oversight activities in fact occurred. You see that right there? So $70 million just went missing. Right? Missing. They couldn't account for it in the taxes, right? Because when you run a nonprofit like this, you got to make sure you dot your you dot your I's and cross your T's when it comes to filling out paperwork on where all the money goes to, because you have to file to somebody. You have to file those reports to somebody. Somebody's supposed to be looking into it. But if you're well known and an established brand, people will just take your word for it. Especially the U.S. government. If you bring in lots of money, the U.S. government, as long as you pay off the right people, they don't care what you do with it. All right. Red Cross CEO Gail McGovern told Grassley's office the charity gave the Government Accountability Office everything that they asked for during an earlier review. The report, however, says the organization did not provide everything requested, contrary to McGovern's multiple claims that it did. Right? So he's like, oh, did not give you that? Oh, you asked for them reports on that $70 million that went missing? Oh, I thought I'd give you that. I didn't give you that. No, you didn't give it to us? I thought I did. I'm going to make sure I send that to you. Weeks and weeks go by. Never get nothing. That's shady stuff. That's how a lot of these big charitable organizations, that's how they roll. They think they're untouchable. All right, they think they can do whatever they want to with people's money. They act like they're doing good things, turn around, do wicked things with them, right? The Red Cross has kept the charity's own internal investigations and ethics unit severely undermanned and underfunded. You see it right there? So, trying to sabotage. The report says, and the charity appears to be reluctant to support the very unit that is designed to police wrongdoing within the organization. You see that right there? So, even their own people, the own people that they employ to root out any corruption, they don't even treat them well, much less external sources who are trying to figure out what they've done with all this money that people give them. All right. So again, that's just one example of all the corruption that the charitable organizations, quote unquote charitable organizations, did concerning the earthquake relief effort in Haiti, right? So when things like this go on, it's no surprise. It's no wonder that Haiti is so messed up. Yet again, you have the U.S. saying, "Do not come. We're gonna send you back. You can come. We're gonna send you back though. We're gonna ship you back on a plane or a ship or whatever the case may be." Yeah, here we are. But the greatest country on earth, right? But yeah, we ain't. I guess we can talk a little bit about the wickedness of America, but really we're here to talk about Haiti, right? So this is Genesis 49. It says Simeon and Levi are brethren, right? So I want to read this in verse 2 first, all right? So this is Jacob. I'm sorry, verse 1, Genesis 49. This is one of the chapters that show us where the 12 tribes are today, all right? So Genesis 49, I'm going to start with verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, "Gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days." You see that right there. So in verse 1, Jacob said, look, I'm about to give you some prophecy on what's going to happen to your people, your sons, your descendants in the last days. All right. He wasn't telling them what was going to happen to these individuals. He was saying, this is what your tribe's going to be going through in the last days. All right. So I'm going to jump down to verse 5. It says, Simeon and Levi are brethren. Wait a minute. Aren't the rest of the 12 tribes brothers as well? Why would he specifically say Simeon and Levi are brethren? Because Simeon and Levi live on the same island. All right. Same way, again, we looked at that image a while ago. The island of Hispaniola split right down the middle, more or less. And then you have one people on one side, one people on the other side. And I didn't even get into all the animosity that the Haitians have for the Dominicans and vice versa. All right. The Haitians hate the Dominicans because the Dominicans didn't do what the Haitians did. And that is, expel all the Europeans, right? The Dominicans kind of embraced the Europeans, especially during the Blanqueamiento era. All right. And again, that's something that we didn't even get into. Maybe it's for another time. But just because they handled things differently, they've always had that animosity. They've always had that hatred between one another. All right. It says, Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Right. So in both sides, you have the voodoo over on the Haitian side and you have the Santeria over on the Dominican side. All right. They do wickedness. All right. Those are two forms of witchcraft. All right. Oh, my soul, come not thou into their secret. Right. Their secret sin of that witchcraft. All right. Unto their assembly. Right. So them coming together. Mine honor, be not thou united. So Jacob said, look, I've seen what the individuals, Simeon and Levi, can do when they come together. And the wickedness that they do together, he said, no, y'all ain't never going to be together unless it's going to be in righteousness. All right. That goes back again to the history of Genesis 34. All right. But he said, look, that's the kind of spirit that's on y'all. Y'all can't be together unless y'all are in righteousness. Y'all will never come together in wickedness. All right. That's why they're divided. Unto this day, you have Haitians hating Dominicans and vice versa. All right. Unto their assembly, my honor, be not thou united. For in their anger, they slew a man, and in their self-will, they dig down a wall. And again, that's the history between Simeon, Levi, Shechem, and Dinah. All right. Like I said, Genesis 34, read that on your own time. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. You see that right there? So that's exactly what the Haitians did, right? With the Europeans. When they come down with their wrath, it was fierce. It was cruel, right? Because they were tired of oppression. They were not trying to live through that no more. So they got down and dirty, all right? And again, the same today. That's why in that, when I was reading that refugee article, they said, look, those are not livable conditions that the people were living in. That's why they escaped. Because those conditions were not livable, right? They were cruel. All right. Yeah, so it says, I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel, right? The Levites became the priests who had to go into every land within the children of Israel, right? Had to go amongst every tribe because, Jacob knew, and of course the Lord knew, that, hey, look, we can't have Simeon and Levi together, tribes together, because they're just going to do wickedness. All right. I got to take one of them, and that'll be Levi, and I'll make them the priests. All right. I got to send them throughout all the tribes. All right. So from there, let's talk a little bit more about the tribe of Levi. All right. I believe this is in Malachi 2. I ain't read it in a while, so bear with me. All right. Yeah, I'll start with verse 1 here in Malachi 2. Maybe chapter 3, but we'll start here in Malachi 2 to see if this is what I want. I believe it is, because it's specifically talking to Levi. And now, O priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if ye will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Right? So this was Malachi, and he's specifically making reference to the curse of Deuteronomy 28, but he's kind of expounding upon that. So let's get Deuteronomy 28 real quick. Because again, he said a third of the slaves who came in on slave ships were sent to Haiti directly. So I'm going to start there at verse 68. When it says Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. He said, look, I'm going to send you into bondage again on ships. Again, that's why you got to know the history. It says in other precepts, like in Exodus 20:2, it calls Egypt a house of bondage. But Moses is giving his last speech here to God's people. He's giving his last speech before he dies to the Israelites, right? The Israelites associated, and especially this generation of Israelites, associated Egypt with slavery because they had just come as slaves out of Egypt 40 years prior, right? So it said the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships, right? Did that not happen? Did slave ships not happen to the Haitians? Of course it did. All right. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there, meaning once you step off the slave ship, you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And no man shall buy you out of slavery, as was our custom to do for one another. Why? Because all the Levites went into slavery. They couldn't buy each other out of slavery because they all went into it. You know what I'm saying? They all got stacked on them ships and sent towards the Isle of Hispaniola at the time. Later became Haiti, right? So I'm going to jump around, all right? The one about verse 30, 38. No, not 38. It's a 31. No, 30, verse 30. Because this describes the conditions of slavery and later colonialism, all right? Thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her, right? It's the women being raped, right? The slave masters, the oppressors, would not let the slaves get married, right? And if they knew that you were married to a woman, they would specifically go and rape her to demoralize you and to demoralize her, of course. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein, right? So the Haitians built the houses up for the slavers, the French, right? Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. You see what I'm saying? So they may literally pick the grapes, but it's not going to feed them, right? They'll give the slave the scraps of whatever they eat. They ain't going to give them any of the benefits from the crop, right? Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thy enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. You see that right there? So that's all the livestock as well. Going into all the resources going to the hands of the enemies, right? Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand, right? So this is explained in verse 41. Where it says, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. You see that right there? So that's splitting up the family, selling the son one way, selling the daughter another way, selling the parents to another plantation, right? That's methods, right? You read about the methods of how they did all this stuff in the Willie Lynch letter, all right? It tells you all the mindset and the tactics used by slavers over here in the West, all right? It says, there shall be no might in thy hand, no military might to get them back, right? The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. You see that right there? So even going into the colonial tax period, right? The Haitians would actually produce the resources themselves. But then guess what? The French had to hit a lick off of it. They had to get the money from it because they were in debt to the French, based upon the peace treaty that they signed to be independent. All right. Verse 34, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. You see that right there? So it's really, if you don't know the reason behind it, if you don't have understanding as to why these things are happening, if you don't realize what the case actually is, then it can be maddening, right? It will piss you off, right? And another scripture say, oh, pressure make a wise man mad. It's supposed to. But you're supposed to use that anger in a righteous way, right? Pray to the Lord for righteous indignation, for righteous judgment. You ain't supposed to, go and be seditious. And that's obviously what we saw with a lot of the coup d'etats, right? In Haiti, with a lot of the violence in Haiti, right? You have people that's not in the spirit who, perform sedition and violence, right? So, from there, let's go back to Malachi 2. That's the curse that he's talking about. All right. The curse of slavery and colonialism. Right. That's what Deuteronomy 28 is talking about. All right. So he says, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Right. So the first part of Deuteronomy 28 is actually blessings. From 1 through 14, it's talking about the blessings from the Lord. How the Lord would establish us to be his chosen people, and a people that rule the world in righteousness, rule the earth in righteousness, like it was under David in the first days of Solomon, right, before he went off. But again, verse 15 on through 68 shows the curses, the punishments, the judgments for going against what God said to do. All right. So that's what he's specifically telling the Levites, because the Levites' inheritance was the Lord and the sacrifices and all the beauty that comes with the covenant. That was the Levites' inheritance. They didn't get land. They got scattered throughout the tribes. All right. What they got was the service to the Lord. So the Lord dealt with them a specific way, and he's telling them personally. All right. Look, I'm going to put curses on you like nobody's seen curses. All right. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feast, and one shall take you away with it. Right. So God is literally calling Haiti a shithole country. Right. Trump said that, not even knowing what he was talking about, but that was prophecy by the Lord. All right. He said, look, I'm going to put dung on your faces. I'm going to put it to where you living in dung and poverty and despair. All right. Verse 4, and ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi. Right? So he said, y'all going to get it the worst because my covenant was with y'all. All right, saith the Lord of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me. Right? Because Aaron and his sons, that's who the covenant was made with. Obviously Moses, but it wasn't Moses and his sons. It was Aaron and his sons that was chose to have the priestly lineage. All right. And was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. Right. So it wasn't just Moses and Aaron, but then you go down that line, you end up having Eleazar and Phinehas, right? And you keep going. You had Zadok, who was set up on, I believe maybe it was Ahimelech in the days of David as well, right? And you had all these righteous high priests. And later on, even after Malachi, you had the Hasmonean family. The Maccabean family was all Levi, right? John the Baptist was a Levite, all right? You had Jeremiah and Ezekiel, both Levites, right? So you had the righteous Levites who was trying to turn people to the law, turn them away from sin. All right. But then you also, the majority of Levi went off and did wickedness, just like the majority of the rest of us. But they were supposed to be different, is my point. They were supposed to be something special to the Lord, even amongst God's people, right? But anyway, verse 7, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. You see that right there? So he's saying, look, y'all are supposed to be my angels, right? That's what angel means, is messenger. Y'all are supposed to be my messengers to the people. All right? Even amongst my people, y'all are supposed to be separate and better. All right? But ye are departed out of the way. Ye have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people. Right? So you look at the Haitians, and you don't look at them like they're supposed to be, or you don't look at them like they are better than the rest of us. You look at them like they're worse. You see what I'm saying? You look at their country, you're like, what's going on with Haiti? Why is it so terrible? You're not looking at Haiti and the Haitians like they're the Levites, like they're the chosen of God, even amongst God's people. You see what I'm saying? He said, I made you base. I made you the lowest before all the people, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. You see right there, because they didn't want to keep the commandments, because they were hypocrites, right? Because they didn't serve the Lord the way that God needed to be served, the way that he said to do it. They did it their own way. God said, all right, yeah, I can't deal with y'all. So he sent Christ to be the high priest, so that now we all have to come back on the same level, even the Levites. All right? They can't come back as the old covenant Levites, where they were separate and different from the rest of the tribes. They got to come to Christ like the rest of us now. All right? So, from there, I do want to touch on the wickedness of America just a little bit, because we can't let America slide with their wickedness. All right? Done. Where are we at? Where we're at? Psalms. Let's get Psalms 10. I've been through Psalms 10 before, but I mean, Psalms 10 is heavy. I love Psalms 10. All right? It just calls out all the BS, calls out all the foolishness. All right? So, this is David? It doesn't say, but more than likely David. If not David, then Asaph or one of the other psalmists. All right? Psalms 10, start with verse 1. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? Right? So like many of the other Psalms, it starts with the whoever's the writer, probably David, calling upon the Lord, saying, where are you at, Lord? It's time for judgment to appear. We've seen wickedness for too long. All right? We've seen corruption for too long. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. You see that right there? So that's what the U.S. is doing whenever they're shipping Haitians back. They say, we don't care how poor you are. We don't care what you're running from. Get out of here. We don't want you here. All right? Same thing with the Red Cross. Talking about, give us the money. We'll help the Haitians build 6 homes with $500 million. How do you get away with something like that? How are they not all under the jail right now? It's because America likes that stuff. They allow that stuff. They'd rather have them Red Cross people who steal people's money be here in the country than they would them Haitians who's trying to flee from persecution of their own people, by the way. I ain't gonna sit here and act like Haiti is the most righteous country. We see how even Jacob called them out for their cruelty, right? And how God, through Malachi, called them out and said, look, y'all been wicked worse than everybody else. The same as everybody else. You're supposed to be different. All right? But anyway, the wicked in his pride, right? Proud to be an American. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. See, that's why I'm using these electronic devices right now to bring out the word. They come up with these electronic devices to keep us in sin. But we can use these devices for a righteous purpose. All right? Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. All right? For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. You see that right there? So God hates the greedy American Red Cross who's just going to steal a quarter of the money that you think's going to Haiti, right? Going to lose, quote unquote, lose $70 million. All right. America bless them. They give them tax write-offs. They help them out. They'll show the commercials. They'll put them in every country so that they can do the same thing in every country. All right. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. You see what I'm saying? So if their mind was on God, they wouldn't be stealing. They wouldn't be trying to trick people into thinking all your money's going to a righteous cause. Meanwhile, it's actually going in my pockets. They wouldn't be thinking like that because they would be afraid of God's judgment. But the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, they think, oh, God ain't gonna judge me, or God's not real, or I can do what I want. I don't care if there's a God, right? Because that's what a lot of them think. They say, I don't care. All right? I'm gonna get mines, right? That's what a lot of them think. All right? I'm gonna jump down. Well, I'll read through 5 just for the sake of it. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. Right? They're not thinking of God's judgments. They don't see his judgments coming. All right? So they think they can do whatever they want just because God don't judge them immediately. All right? As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. Right? He scoffeth at them. Oh, you can't reach me. I'm all the way over here in America. Because they think about, they think and I'm going to tell you something right here. They think with military strategy, they think that just because, we got an ocean on our eastern side and on our western side, that they ain't going to be able to reach America. That's what they think. If there's an invasion coming, we'll see it happening. That's the pride of his countenance. All right. We got missile defense systems. They can't never break through them. That's what you think. It's all going to go down. All right. The lake of fire is going to be right here in America. All right. He said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. He said, I shall never be in adversity. They think America will continue forever. That's what they think. All right. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. You know what that's called? Whenever you take money as a charitable organization, but then you misuse those funds. That's called fraud. All right. And it should be prosecuted legally. But guess what? If you line the right pockets here in America, you ain't got to answer to nobody. But the truth coming out, God gonna judge the world for its sins. Christ gonna come back and establish righteousness in the earth. No wickedness is gonna live any longer. You got to get right. You don't want to be judged with these wicked heathen, all right, that's doing all this wickedness, that's doing all this sin. Because their judgment is the lake of fire, where you burn forever. All right? Your skin burn off your body, and then God bring your spirit back to burn forever. You don't want that. Just because you're petty little individual sins. God is judging nations of people for their sins. You don't want to be caught in the middle of that. All right? That's why we do what we do. That's why we go out to these streets. That's why I do the streams, to warn people. You don't want to be caught in the crosshairs when judgment day comes. Get right. Do what God said to do. Maybe he'll have mercy on you. It said, under his tongue is mischief and vanity, right? Mischief, obviously, we know mischief is to sneak around doing something wrong. That's mischief. And vanity means it's of no worth. It's of no value. The stuff that they put on, oftentimes in their news, but also in the media in general, on the radio, on TV, on TikTok, on YouTube, on whatever they got now, Roku, right? On whatever they got, it's all vanity. It's a distraction. It's to stop you from seeking out the truth and understanding and wisdom. All right, they ain't gonna give you real wisdom here in America. Even the televangelists, right? The people in Christianity, because they're not going to cast down the image of the beast, that Caesar Borgia. They're not going to cast down Christmas and Easter, tell you it's Babylonian custom and tradition. They're not going to cast down Sunday worship, telling you you're worshiping the S-U-N in the sky, and you're not worshiping the Lord of the Sabbath, who is Christ. He said he's the Lord also of the Sabbath. If they ain't casting all these things down, then they ain't doing you no service. They ain't doing you nothing. They giving you a lovely song. That's what they're giving you. Just vanity. Stuff that has no value. All right. Goes on to say how he persecutes the poor. Lieth in wait to catch the poor. Kill the poor by his strong ones. That's his military. Verse 10 says he croucheth and humbleth himself, right? Because he'll be on TV, or he'll be on, he will send out a public statement or make a press conference and say, hey, we're going to Haiti to help the people, right? We're trying to give them relief. We're trying to give them earthquake relief, right? Humbleth himself, saying, oh, we're here to do good things. That the poor may fall by his strong ones, so that they may militarily or by, economic strength come in and do wickedness, to persecute the poor, to steal the funds that's supposed to be given to them. All right? Take $500 million and build 6 houses. How's that even possible? How is that not known immediately by everyone? Because they were rubbing the right hands. And people let them get away with it because the Red Cross, that's a good trusted brand. It's all marketing Philanthropy is the new marketing. All right. If you can make it seem like you're a good person, then people let you get away with all sorts of evil and wickedness. All right. We need to start judging what is righteous and what is unrighteous by the laws of God, like what God says. We need to be looking at things using discernment and wisdom according to the scriptures. And you'll begin to see, oh, this whole world got to burn. This whole world got to go down. Ain't nobody doing nothing according to the scriptures. That's what you'll begin to see. You'll start looking at things with God's eyes. And then you'll start praying to the Lord, please have mercy on me. Please have mercy on these people, oh Lord. They're in all sorts of wickedness. All right. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He'll never see it. That's what they think. They think God's going to let them get away with all this. He's not. He's building because you know how sometimes you'll start counting stuff and you'll have tally marks, right? You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/3, right? That's what God's doing. He's counting up all the tally marks of every evil thing that they've done. He's going to judge them for all of it. Again, that's why this place is going to burn forever. Because of all the wickedness. It stacks up. It's stacking up. God's not going to forget it. He's not going to wipe it away. He's going to wipe this whole place away. All right. Verse 12. Arise, O Lord, O God, lift up thy hand, forget not the humble. Right? So don't forget the people who's actually doing what you said to do, because there are some of us out here. Not many, few of us, but we do exist. So he's saying, oh Lord, don't forget the humble, but lift up your hand and judge the wicked, because there's too many of them. This world will be destroyed if they continue. Verse 13, wherefore doth the wicked contemn God? He had said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. That's what they think. They think God will not require all the blood that they've shed. They think God will not require all the money that they've stolen. They think God will not require judgment for all the wickedness that they've done. He will require it. He's coming to establish a just world. You can't have justice without judgment. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite. Right? Sometimes they just do stuff out of spite. Like them colonial taxes that they forced on not only Haiti, we're using Haiti as an example tonight, but on all of Latin America, on parts of Africa, and I believe parts of Southeast Asia. I have to look into that. But them colonial taxes, that's out of spite. That's just out of spite. They say, look, oh, well, you want to be independent? You want to live on your own? Well, that means because we're not going to make money off of you, you got to pay us now. That's out of spite. There ain't no other reason to do that. That's out of spite. They're saying, oh, you can be free, but we still own you. That's exactly what they're saying. They're saying it without saying it, you know? To requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Right? And see, that's why God's people got to go through the curses. Right? God's people have to go through the curses. And this is why right here, Hosea 5:15. Because as he just said, as the writer of the psalm just said right here, it said, the poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Right? I want to deal with the poor committeth himself unto thee. You ever been down so bad when it comes to your bank account? So low when it comes to your bank account. You say, please, Lord, please let me pay my rent. You pray to God, you say, please let me pay my car note. I don't want him to come take this car away. Lord, please let me pay my light bill. Don't let them cut it off. We need lights in this house. Of course. We've been there before. It said the poor committeth himself unto the Lord, right? Hosea 5:15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early. That's why God's people got to go through the curses. Because in affliction, That's when people start turning to God. When they start going through things, that's when people start turning to God. He said, look, I got to deal with my people like this. They don't want to listen to me. All right. Your enemy's going to come against you. I'm going to remove my protective covering over you. I'm going to let them just have their way with you. And then what happened? The people started rising up, saying, hey, Lord, please be with us. People start going through it. They pray to God and say, please fight for us. Please be with us again. Right? But the thing is, and you read about it in Psalms 83, the enemy came with crafty counsel on how to strip the Israelites of the culture and heritage that God give us. All right? But anyway, the point is, the poor committeth himself unto the Lord, right? In our affliction, we seek God early. All right? When we go through things, we pray to God. Right? Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Did we not just read in the first article of the refugees, where it said half of the people that's being displaced, over 100,000 that would make it. That would make it around, maybe 180,000. Around 180,000 of the people that was displaced were children. All right? God is the helper of the fatherless. Where are these kids' parents? They've been split from their parents. So the parents may have died for some reason, right, from the violence. So he said, thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. Right? So the writer of this psalm here said, look, judge them for everything that they've done. Don't let them get away with nothing. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. Every last thing that they've done, judge them for it. That's called righteous indignation. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. You see that right there? Won't that be a glorious day? We know that's not today. Even if you think the Jewish people are God's people, which they're not. Even if you think that, the Arabs, they still in the land. But the Lord will be established in Jerusalem when he removes all the heathen out of his land. All right? Jerusalem won't be part of it anymore. It will be established with Christ on the throne. All right? The heathen are perished out of his land. Lord, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear. You see that right there? So God is going to hear us out if we humble, right? God will fight with us, fight for us if we are humble, if we come back to him in humility and meekness. That's what Christ said. The meek will inherit the earth. Meek means obedient. Humble means you listen to what the Bible says to do and you don't get in your feelings about it. You just do it because God said to do it. That's where humility comes in. All right? That will prepare their heart. God will change our hearts. Excuse me. And heart here, it's not talking about the thing that pumps blood through your chest, right? Because obviously we know that's just a muscle. It's talking about your mind. God will change the way that you think. All right? God will change the way that you feel. Again, feelings don't come from the muscle that pumps blood through your body. Your feelings come from your mind. God will change the way that you feel. God will change the way that you think. All right? And that's when thou will cause thine ear to hear. That's when he's going to hear our prayers and deliver us. Is when we change the way that we think. We change the way that we feel about the things that's going on in the world. All right? That's why it's just getting worse and worse. Every year, it's just getting worse and worse when it comes to wickedness in the world. All right? When it comes to oppression, when it comes to corruption. All right? It's just getting worse and worse. It won't be like that forever. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. Verse 18, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. And there will be a day when there is no more oppression. Christ will see to it. There will be judgment in the world. All right? Understand that thing.